Welcome, everybody. Our guest today is the one and the only Travis Kautz. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Travis Kautz to the stand, to the podcast.
Come on, baby.
Let's go.
So excited to be here.
You're here.
I know.
You made it, brother. Man, I love you. You're so cool. I'm so glad you're here. Why don't you... I can go on about you for days because you're the brother. We literally, funny side joke, we had a lady slide into the DMs asking for Travis if he's single. So, she was like, you're like the best wingman ever, because I was vouching for my boy. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Just a quick one. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So I'm 20, just grew up in Colorado, loving parents, loving brothers, studying mechanical engineering now at Liberty University up in Virginia.
Yep.
Got my brother out there with me. Grew up in a Christian household, like I mentioned, loving parents, loving family. And then just a couple, about a year ago or so, came out here to Texas to work with Juan and Bryce, our CEO, before taking, going back to school in the fall last year. And then now, got the opportunity to go out to Lakeport with you guys and California. So I've been here been with the company for the past 8 months. Just so much growth, so much life, and so much bonds that were formed through people. But that's, a brief intro about who I am. But yeah, nothing crazy.
Love it. Little Travis Kautz, Colorado born. Any Colorado people shout out. Best family ever. A lot of our friends vouch for the Kautzes as like literally one of the most genuine and loving families that there is. So thank you for that brief description. For a lot of people that don't know, we have a solar company that we work for as independent contractors and do residential solar. And we just try to help people in that scene, in that sphere of life, in our workplace. And Travis, at a young age, came out and literally worked for us because his brother, Bryant, who we'll definitely have on this podcast, came out and was like, hey, bro, this is dope. You make good money in sales, and let's get after it. So before we get into that, because we can definitely talk about that, and it's part of the questions, I like to start off with some fun things and some intro of you. What is some things that bring you so much joy in life? What are your hobbies per se, your pastimes, your favorite things? What brings Travis Kautz some joy in life?
Probably the most joy I find in life is just adventures, specifically outdoors, going skiing, snowboarding with my friends and family. You just find so much peace and calm. Just kind of the busyness of life can keep you down a little bit. But when I am on the mountain, I just feel so free and just
on the mountains of Colorado.
Yeah, skiing and everything like that. So that's definitely some of my favorite hobbies, but also sports. Just an advocate, just an enthusiast of every sport.
What's your team?
Team's the Denver Broncos, baby.
Gosh.
Everyone knows that. Just live and die the Broncos.
Live and die.
My grandpa actually got season tickets for them in 1960, literally their inaugural season.
Wow.
So the Broncos have just been a part of my being ever since I was born, because I was infused by them from my grandpa.
I didn't know that. 1960s. That is OG.
Literally the first season.
So I understand more now why your diehardness, because I'm a diehard fan for my teams. Don't like football, but anyways, I'm gonna lose people there. But didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, but the big reason why is just because my grandpa was such a big part of my life. And it's so funny, like growing up and living with him, every time the Broncos would be on, he'd be yelling and cussing at the TV.
As he should. As any real fan should.
I know. And I think that definitely rubbed off on me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually a good avenue into kind of the beginning of my life with my grandpa when I was, 7 years old, moved in with my grandparents because my grandma got really sick and our family had to move in and take care of her. So It was a blessing in disguise, really, because I remember when I was young, I was really, sad, uprooted where I was born and raised till I was 7 years old, and then, but the blessing of being able to live with my grandpa and form that relationship, it was just amazing. So, but yeah, back to your original question. Definitely a sports enthusiast. Love playing them. Love watching them.
Yep.
A part of me still wishes I was playing football, but
even though you have like 40 injuries,
I know.
Severe ones with that. But so outdoors, obviously Colorado, skiing, snowboarding, activities, adventures, and I've had the privilege of joining you in some of those, and I could say for sure he is an outdoors person. His whole family is. We've snowboarded and skied Tahoe.
Yeah.
What was the mountain we did? Heavenly? No.
I think
was
it
Heavenly?
was North Star.
North Star, maybe?
I think it was North Star.
I know I did Heavenly with Brian. I don't know which one I did with you guys, but they shred, is it called? They shred the mountains. I am a skier. I would love to snowboard, but it's extremely difficult on those mountains. It's crazy.
That was such a fun day, but also a crazy day too. With Dylan and Brian having to literally help them all the way down the mountain.
Yep.
But yeah, just I remember that day, me and Brian, after the craziness of having to help out Dylan, we just we're going down the mountain. Just there was this beautiful outlook that you were able to see directly towards Lake Tahoe.
Lake Tahoe is so beautiful.
Yeah, and me and Brian were able to take a picture there, and I was just like,
that's what
all the weight, the world. You look out there, and you just feel a sense of calm that nothing like the mountains can give to you. So
I agree. I definitely love nature, but not like you guys love it. It's beautiful. It's a God thing for sure. So that is your joy for sure. I can see that in the sports realm as well. Awesome. So one of the things that I had thought about and prayed about when bringing you on was you're 20 years old. Mm-hmm. You're a young buck. You're a go-getter. I know this, but the audience is going to know now. You first went with us for the solar company and trained everything at the age of 18 or 19?
I was 19 at the point.
19 at that point. Oh, you got to turn 19 already because you can't. Okay. So tell us a little bit about that. Young kid, 19 years old at Liberty University. You came out for your first blitz in the summer of 2022 or 2019?
2022.
2022. So last year. You came with your brother Garrett, which was, the household was insane. We're not going to get into that. But yeah, tell us a little bit, obviously as one of the leaders in the company and figuring a lot of stuff out and training stuff, but I don't know the day-to-day of like that decision. What made you decide, okay, I'm going to take my summer, which a lot of college kids are going to be like, hey, I'm just going to enjoy summertime. Maybe work at Chick-fil-A 3 days a week or whatever, just make some money. But you decided to move from Colorado to California and then Texas to do solar. Yeah. What was that decision like? What was it all like?
So that actually all stems from the fall of 2021. Okay. I remember originally talking to Bryant and Garrett because Bryant was working, his first summer was summer 2021. Yep. And we had all planned potentially on going out to Liberty to all start our first years there. It'd be Bryant's junior year, but me and Garrett's freshman year. Yeah. And that was one of, if not the biggest reasons why I decided to go to Liberty, because I had original intentions to go to Texas A&M.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
Texas A&M, we're here in Texas.
I know.
What the heck?
I know. That was,
come here now.
I know. But that was crazy because obviously engineering, and my original passion was to do aerospace. Sheesh. And A&M had one of the best programs. But
Texas A&M has the best player. Okay.
But I kind of dropped the ball a little bit because it was, how in our solar pitch we always mentioned the freeze.
Yeah.
It was right during the freeze, and communication was out for like a month or so. So I'd like email and try and contact people, but I was not ever getting a response back. So I thought I had submitted all my applications and necessary details correctly, but like I get an email back in February, and they're like, "Yep, sorry, you missed a thing on your application, so we had to void it.
One
One thing. And it was literally just a weird way of showing you your transcript. And I was like, are you serious right now? So
college is great. We'll talk about that later.
that sucked. I was a little depressed after that. And at that point I didn't really know what I wanted to do with school.
Right.
So it was spring break at that point in March of my senior year, and my dad was like, hey, we're going to go out to Virginia, just tour Liberty. Yeah. And at that point I was like, I'm not going to Liberty. Like, no shot. I'm not going to Liberty. So I was like, I'll go. But I'm not going to really even, entertain the thought of going there.
Yeah. All young guys are.
I know.
We're stubborn.
So I was, touring it. My friends were there. Some of my, early childhood friends that I started playing football with. Was able to talk to them, get a little understanding of the school. And I remember they have this tower, and I remember going to the top of the tower and looking around, and there was still a piece of me that was like, I'm not 100% sure about going here yet. And then it comes, April, May, and I'm like, still not made a decision for college. But at that point, Garrett's like, I'm going to go to Liberty.
Garrett decided.
Yep. And then they had not shut down at all for COVID. So that was another benefit. I was like, maybe I can get a college experience without having to just study in my dorm all the time. So I was like, I'm going to go to Liberty, set my commitment there. And then, later in the middle of June, Brian was like, oh, I'm going to go to Liberty as well.
Brian said that.
He was like, mentioning it. Gotcha. And he's like pretty confident. And he was like, oh, I might go to Liberty. And then at that point, my heart was elevated. I was like, I'm going to have my brothers here. I was this is going to be great.
The trident of Kautz's.
I was so excited.
He was already in California because that was June. He moved in May. Yeah.
So I was so excited for that. And then that summer was one of the toughest summers for Garrett. As you know, he was constantly calling Bryant, going through a lot of mental demons, a lot of problems, mental struggles. And at that point, because of the state and condition he was in, he decided to take a gap semester to get his mental health under control.
To get better.
And then, beginning of August, Bryant was like, I'm actually staying in California.
I remember that whole thing. He was like, every weekend we would hang out. He would bring it up, and I know my decision about college. Like for anyone who's thinking, because by the way, he was making good money at that point.
100%.
He was crushing it as a door-to-door knocker. I think he was probably averaging like 10 grand a month.
I know.
So probably more, but
it was wild.
So he was probably, we were like, no money, education, money.
I know. I remember him telling me like the first 2 weeks he was in California, he got like 10 closes in 10 days.
Yeah.
And he won like a huge TV.
Oh yeah, he got the TV and a PlayStation 5. Oh my god. I was like,
what the frick is he doing out in California?
Yes.
But
that was such a good time.
It was so good. And he would always tell me this. So already there was a little seed planted in me, and I was like, maybe I should, it was always in the back of my head, but the semester starts August 2021 and it's just me. The plans had kind of 180'd.
Right.
I was expecting to be at A&M, and then I was also expecting to have my brothers there. And I just felt really lonely. And unfortunately,
especially freshman year.
Yeah, freshman year. And, unfortunately I didn't really, embark on my own. I kind of was like, oh, pity me, things didn't go my way.
Right.
I'm just gonna, wallow in my sadness a little bit. And looking back on that, I was like, what are you doing, bro? Like, I should have, if I could go back in time, I would kick myself and be like, bro, go out. Like, this is your time to enjoy. But I was just depressed, and I was like, man, I don't have my brothers here. I don't even want to be here. Like, this sucks. So when that happens, I get tunneled focus on what I can control and something that I'm good at, and that's school. So for the next 2.5 months of my life, my routine was literally just school. Like, I didn't even have that much to do, but because I was,
you just made yourself.
I just made my
This is an extra assignment, extra credit. Professor, what to do next?
I know. It's just for whatever.
You're that one guy. Everyone was like, no.
I know. I was just ridiculous because I was like, if I can control something,
right,
and I can find validation in one way in my life, I know that that's in school. So for the next 2.5 months, I would wake up, go through my assignments, go to class, come back and do homework. And I was just living a monotonous life with no purpose or fulfillment. And at that point, I was living in a kind of an apartment style dorm, and all of my roommates had left. And it was literally just me with 2 other people that I barely saw. So I felt super isolated and alone, and I was just, not living a good life that freshman year or first semester of college, partly because I was just pitying myself, and partly because I was just upset that nothing had turned out the way I wanted it to. Right. But during that time, I was FaceTiming Bryant pretty routinely.
I know. Bryant was my roommate, by the way. So I didn't know Travis yet. If I did, I'd be like, yes, FaceTime every time. But I remember being on the couch of about to watch a movie after a long day at work or something, just relaxing. And he'd literally get a call at 8 p.m. because it's midnight or 11 p.m. your time. And I'm like, dude, we're about to watch a movie. And I'd be so annoyed. But now I know, I'm like, hey, they what you're sharing, needed. That's what brothers are for. Yeah. So I get it now.
But and I just called him and, was able to meet Juan and Joe and Bryce through FaceTime a little bit, didn't have any deep conversations with them. But Bryant told me, the group of guys that he was living with and going on all these fun adventures. And at that point I was a little jealous because I was like, dang, I'm all alone out here just having this, boring life. And I'm like, dang, I wish I could be out in California with Bryant right now.
Yeah.
So
we sold you the dream.
I know. He was like, I'm going to Jamaica for 10 days. I'm like, you're going to Jamaica for 10 days? Like, what the
heck? We won a trip because it was in August. There was it was called Summer Madness. And we just went and crushed it. And I think only 2 people, me and Luke's going to be here on Thursday. We went a free all-inclusive trip to Jamaica. Yeah. And then after that, Vegas. Yeah. It was awesome. Yeah. Hey, shout out to Bryce. He makes some great incentives.
100%.
Which is part of our culture. So it's awesome.
No, Bryce is awesome. Love the community out here. But in October when I saw that, I was like already a little seed in me.
Even growing,
100%. Yeah. And then, the semester gets November, gets December, and then the friends that I had mentioned earlier that I came out in my senior year to visit with Liberty, they were living in a dorm room in the middle of campus, closer to the campus, everything going on. And I told them, man, right now life sucks. I'm not, I'm just kind of going through the motions. And they told me, oh, dude, one of our roommates left. There's a dorm, there's a bed open. You should try and, switch your dorm to go over there. So I did. I switched over there. And that was probably one of the best things that I've done in my life because I met one of my best friends in college who ended up becoming my roommate. His name's Mason. You met Mason.
There's a funny story there too in regards to WealthCon and all that. Yeah.
But that was awesome. So I was able to finally get community that I hadn't had for the first 2.5, 3 months of college. Now, given I put myself in that situation a little bit. But that's just kind of my personality. I need to kick myself before, because I always have fear and anxiety that unfortunately kind of rules my life in ways that it shouldn't. And what I find out is when I finally take that step to move forward, I realize that step proved so much more impactful for me than the fear that I had for it ever held me down. So
real quick, I just want to touch on that because that's so beautiful. Well, God's here we go. So obviously I know you, and for the listeners who are listening, if I could take myself back to college age years, we all have that. There's nobody that I am, me as a confident, over ambitious, whatever, but even I have that, right? And even I struggle with that. And before I had met Christ, I just did it through striving. Yeah. And so to kind of, I'm just trying to picture it for you, that fear and anxiety, stepping out in faith and telling somebody that, hey, I'm not doing great. And he's like, well, we got a room, bro. Come live with us. Talking to your brother, obviously, Bryant, and so many things where you accomplished more after that, I'm assuming, which we're going to talk about in a second here. And one of the most beautiful things about you that I think is like the genesis or step one to getting past that is being self-aware, right? Like you just said it. I kind of put it on myself. I'm kind of pitying myself. I wish I could kick myself. Like, you knew you were upset. You knew you had fears. You knew you had anxiety. The worst thing you could do is be ignorant to all that and continue living that monotonous cycle of life of like not doing anything. And it applies even to me. Like, before I started this podcast, this everything, real estate investing, I was just like, I don't want to do it because fear, anxiety, fear of man. There's so many things. And on the other side of it, now we're here having fun, 100%. Right? So being self-aware, that was step one for me. Being self-aware, step one for you, going like, hey, I actually am scared. And being vulnerable enough to share that with others is the best way. Because if you try to do it by yourself, it's 100 times harder. Yeah. But if you have people like next to you, like, hey, this is scary, I need help. And then they'll encourage you and uplift you, which is kind of like the community we're trying to build here and what we have even at work. So I love that, bro. I just wanted to say that.
No, I appreciate that, because it's like, even in that moment when I realized that I wasn't living a good life and I was depressed and I wasn't happy, there was even a part of me that had gotten comfortable in that state. Yeah. So that when that room had opened up to live with my friends, a part of me was like, no, man, I'm just gonna stay in this dark cloud that I'd built for myself, because at that point I had gotten comfortable in it because I'd been living in it for 2 months. I know. So there was even fear in me just making that simple room switch, because I had gotten so used to my routine. Yeah. When even in the moment I knew it would be good for me, but I was such a creature of routine and habit that it was fearful for me to break that point. So that's why I said what I've found with all the fears that I've had when it comes to work or school or even coming out here, that when I finally enter into it and break that barrier, the rewards are so much greater than the fear that held me back initially. So
the rewards are so much greater than the fear that held you back initially. That's a line right there. It's fire. Like, always. And it's always, you're about to be 21. All the times you step out in faith or whatever, the rewards have been greater. Yes or no?
Yeah,
confirmed.
100%.
I'm only 29. Rewards have always been greater on the other side of fear. It's biblical. It's true. You could look it up on any self-help book. It's 100% true. Why would fear hold us back from doing anything? And failure is your best teacher. And again, one of the reasons we're doing this is because of that, and also community. Like, if you do it alone, it's even scarier. Some people have done it alone. Props to them. I can't. I'll be the first one to say, I need a team. I need friends. I need family to back me up. So the rewards are always greater. Yeah. Come on. That's such a good line.
I know. And even to this day, like, I still have fear that unfortunately still kind of grips me. But when I look back on those moments, I realize, man, you can do this if you just step into it.
So good.
But so that was kind of where I was at in December of 2021.
Finished your fall semester.
Finished my fall semester. Had just moved into the dorm with my good friends now. And then, went back home for Christmas and, able to see my parents and everything. And then January rolls around and Garrett comes back out to Liberty with us. And Garrett is like the yin to my yang. We balance each other out so perfectly, because I'm this stone cold. I don't know if stone cold's the right word, but just,
you're not stone cold.
But
he's definitely more extroverted.
He's more extroverted, but I'm more level set, determined in my ways, where I tend to block out a lot of things when I have a goal or a pursuit. Whereas Garrett is just this free flowing spirit that gets me going from place to place when I would otherwise wouldn't.
He compliments you.
He compliments me 100%. So when he came out, I finally joined some intramurals, started going to the gym, started going on adventures. And that spring semester was 1,000 times better than my fall semester, because not only did I have the community through the people I met on my dorm, but I was also able to go, cave diving with the boys on a Friday evening, or
share life with your brother,
share life with my brother, or play basketball on our intramural team, and crush it and just enjoy life a little bit more than I was in the fall.
And still getting A's as you are, probably.
Yeah, still working as hard as I can. Still have to realize that my validation doesn't come through that. Definitely a gradual process that I'm still trying to understand. But March, April rolls around, the semester's, slowly closing out. And, I'm trying to figure out what I want to do for the summer. Like, do I want to get an internship? Do I want to, go to camp? Like, what do I want to do? So initially I had applied to go work at Young Life at this camp called Castaway. And I got accepted.
Tom Hanks, Castaway. Sorry, I just had to say that. It's about to add.
Yeah, no, it's a dope camp. It's up in
Young Life is amazing.
It's amazing. Sure. It's awesome. Part of me still in the future maybe wants to do something like that. Yeah. Like Garrett did this summer, work at a camp, lead
Steve's
people.
Out there.
Steve's out there. Yeah, 100%. So initially I was like, what if? Because initially I was like, I'm gonna go work at this camp as a lifeguard or something. Not sure what my role was yet. But then, April, I don't know the date, maybe like 15th, Bryant calls me. He's like, hey, I got some news. And I was like, what's the news? He's like, you and Garrett need to come out with me to California and work this summer.
Let's go.
And, right off the bat, I was like, yes. Because,
really?
100%. Because I was like,
I didn't know that. Oops.
With just talking to Bryant for so long and understanding the group of guys that were out there. Mm-hmm. And the collective people that I was going to be able to learn and grow through, I was like, dang, this is an opportunity that I can't pass up. So it was an immediate yes for me to go out and work in California for that little season of my life. And it was such a blessing because honestly.
And what were you signing up for?
So
what did you do when you moved to California to do solar? What are you signing up for? What was your job?
My job was to go knock doors, talk to people about solar. But it was so funny and crazy because the first experience that I got with the company was in Disneyland.
That was your first experience?
And I was
like, yeah, you're right.
It was like I'd never been blessed like that before.
I feel like I knew you so much before that, but that is your first experience. It's crazy.
It was wild. And I remember my grandpa at the time was like, you can't accept that. You can't go out to Disney World without even working yet. And I was like, and Brian was like, no, we're gonna have a conference. We're gonna have a meeting. It's
work related.
It's work related.
It was for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But that was just such a blessing. Me and Garrett just felt so loved right off the bat. And I just felt a sense of peace and calm with the people that I lived with. And I was like, this is great. And for the next, 2-3 months, honestly, like we didn't even work that much that summer. It felt like,
well, you worked hard.
Worked hard, but
5 days a week, I think it was.
Yeah. It was just weird though. Cause, we got there May 18th, was in Disneyland to like the 20th, started like the 22nd. Yeah. Worked a couple weeks and then, left June 14th because we were transitioning to Dallas.
June is when we left?
June 14th, yeah.
I thought our first week was like June 20-something, 9th. Like, because I know we did July 4th, Gun Barrel City. So I had thought it was like the last week of June. But
no, because
you got the dates.
It was Joey's wedding because you guys had all
we went to New York. To celebrate Joey and Jill Catino on June 26th. There, we left like couple. Yeah, wow.
And it was like 2 weeks before that.
So you did like 2 weeks of training.
2 weeks of training.
Then we left, and then we get back after it in Dallas.
Yeah, and then we didn't. Our first day of working in Dallas was July 9th. Yeah, and already like a week and a half into the month, so we cranked for 3 weeks and then
you left August
and then left August 15th after going for a week long blitz in California. And I was like, looking back on it, I was like, I only worked for like 6 weeks.
Wow. And then 2 of those are probably training, or a week at least was training. So you worked 5 weeks. That's crazy how time flies. I know. When you like jam pack it with stuff. Because I thought you had come way before that. I thought we didn't, because I love you. You're amazing. You're your brother. Thought we've done life for so long. That's how much we know each other. But that's insane. So said yes right away, transition over to California, and it was like mayhem. But at the same time, you're feeling peace and calm. Tell us, so how in just basically a month of working, what would you say you made in sales?
I think a little over 20,000, like 22 is what I made in like 5 weeks of working
as a door-to-door knocker, setter. And the concept, I mean, people who are listening, door-to-door sales, you just literally knock on doors, you present, you get an appointment, and hopefully the closer closes it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
Which is, I've done it extremely hard. It's not easy. It's a different type of sales experience.
Mm-hmm.
And have you had any experience in that before coming out here?
No.
Have you had any experience in sales, period?
No experience at all. I was, in fact, still am a very introverted person.
Mm-hmm.
So I remember like agreeing to go out there, like the first week of May when I was home, I was like so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh. Like even when we were driving out to California, I was like, oh my gosh, so nervous. But at the same time, I like flipped the switch and I was like, I'm locked in. Like, let's go. Because
part of the game.
100%. And with not having school at that point, I was able to put a lot of time and effort into learning the material and the necessary steps I needed to take to do well at the job. So I remember just like sitting down, writing through all my objections and memorizing all of them from what was going on, and then going through the script. And it was funny. I remember first couple weeks I was like, dang, I suck at this.
Yeah.
Not good.
And then becoming literally that month in the new market, our number one rep for door to door, literally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that you already said it, but that's what I was going to ask you. How do you go from 19 to 20 years old, nervous, moving even? Yes, the culture and the family were here for sure, but zero experience. And if I had to put a 1 to 10 difficulty level of sales, they're all hard. Sales is not an easy job. It's commission based. Like you're literally facing a million no's before you get a yes. Door to door is probably top or number one, the hardest, because you're literally knocking on as a stranger. They don't know you. They don't trust you. They don't know you from a hole in the wall. You have to build enough confidence and trust so that person believes you in what you're doing, helping them, and have someone come over there and sell them something, a product. So, how did you become top rep? Like, what'd you do?
I took the necessary steps to trust the process.
Yeah.
Just very simple. Put in the effort to learn the objections and go through the pitch. But also, create a good schedule for yourself while you're on the doors so that you can successfully cycle through homes and get interactions with as many people as you can.
Yeah.
Because as we've been seeing out here in Dallas this summer, it's been tough for people to even get interactions. It's averaging like
people aren't home
3 or 4 or 5 a day, not that many.
Yeah.
So you really have to take advantage of that. But one thing that I found that was really centered my life on that season was the beginning of May when I decided to come out here. Was like I just felt compelled on my heart that each door that I knock, an interaction that I have, I'm going to do my best to treat that as like a mission field, to be able to invest and speak life into people.
Yeah.
So I remember that first month and a half of working, I prayed with like 10, 12 people on the doors. And realized the significance of that is far greater than the significance of getting a set or a deal
or a paycheck.
And that was the big joy that I found. And I remember like the first interaction, or not the first interaction, but like the second day of knocking, third day of knocking, whatever it might be, I met this one lady who had just gone through heart surgery. And, my dad had just gotten done having heart surgery just a month before.
Right.
So I was able to connect with her on that level. And she told me a little bit about her story, and she told me a little bit about I told her a little bit about my story, and was just able to connect and pray for her. She prayed for me. And that's what I found that comes with the most joy in this job, is that you'll be able to interact and have these connections with people you would never be able to have without it.
Right.
And
sorry, go ahead.
And that's the joy that I found, was just having a conversation and getting to know the people that you're interacting with, and really trying to speak life into them, because that's the ultimate goal and mission that we're called to is reflect the life of Jesus and everything that you're doing.
So good.
That's what my main focus was the first month and a half out here in Dallas or California.
And you reap the fruit of it. And that's what I was going to say. One of the things, so whenever I do anything, I see Jesus and God in it, or the Bible, just some way or somehow. And one of the biggest things to start off, and we're going to talk about it here in a second, is like your purpose and your why in anything you do, why you get up day to day. But in the second thing is, especially in sales, is not especially in sales and in anything in life, is giving people value. A lot of entrepreneurs say that. A lot of big business owners, CEOs, et cetera, they're like, if I am giving value to someone, then I know that could be a productive conversation. I could help them. They're going to be more attracted to me. It's just like the law of attraction, whatever you want to call it, but it's biblical. Like if you do something for someone without an expectation of something back, without the mindset of like, I'm acting this way in a falsehood so that I could sell them a product, but an actual genuine like, oh, I'm going to give you value. Oh, your dad went through heart surgery. I'm going to pray for you because my dad's going through the same thing. A person mirrors that and they're like, wow, this kid, this guy doesn't really care about what they're selling. They're actually out here trying to help people. And once you get that in your heart genuinely, you can do your job so much easier, right? Because we do need jobs. We need vocations to pay the bills and all that stuff. But if our mindset and our heart is truly like, what I do is to help people, point blank, period, then my job is 10 times easier because I'm literally helping people. I believe that. I'm convicted of that. That is my heart. I'm going to stay true to that no matter what. And if people don't want it, I tried my best. So be it. You know, like I'm great.
Yeah. It's not only 10 times easier, it's also a lot more enjoyable, I find, as well.
Yeah.
Because I feel like when you're just going through the motions, working just to gain a paycheck, and you don't have that focus reflected on Jesus, you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get burnout. You're gonna get sick of it.
So true.
And I think, work is it is intended to be hard. Obviously, it's work. It's laborious. It's not going to be easy.
Right.
But when you work towards Jesus in that pursuit, that reflection in you is made so much more easier and so much more enjoyable because you have a purpose that's greater than yourself.
There you go. That's it.
And that's what I find. And even doing like the simple window washing job when I was a junior in high school, it's when you put your effort into it and take it seriously with the understanding of each action you do is not only a reflection of your character, but a reflection of Jesus in you.
Come on,
You're able to not only enjoy your life and your work more, but you find that purpose that we are looking for.
That's right.
So
find your purpose.
Yeah. And that's what we're all trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Find our purpose, find our goal out here in life.
Yep. Especially at the crucial age of leaving your parents' home, right?
Yeah.
Because you could just basically, as you're growing up, you love mom and dad, you're kind of doing what they're doing. Nurture versus nature kind of thing and all that stuff. But a lot of people, this is why I'm excited to have you here, are currently even older than you, 23. I was before I kind of really found my purpose, before I found Christ, it was March 13, 2016. So that's 7 years ago. That means I was 22, right? Yeah, I was 22. And I'm like, what's my purpose? What am I doing? Like, I want to make money. And that's okay. People can have that purpose, but like you said, you're going to burn out if you're like, all I want is money, 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 money. You have to find your why. The why is such a huge thing. So yeah, one of the other things I had in mind to because you're a young guy who is crushing in life, in my humble opinion, going through the journey, following God, but figuring it all out. Who are like your heroes in life? Who are people you look up to in the business world? Who are people you look up to in the Bible? Who are people you look up to in your personal life, in sports, whatever? Who really you would say like the moment I said heroes impacted your life, you think of right away?
First person that popped into my mind was my dad.
Yeah. Papa Kautz.
Papa Kautz, yeah.
Ron.
He's definitely, the first person I go to call to ask for advice, to gain wisdom and encouragement through, because he, always has a good perspective, I feel like, and always is seeking the best for me and for his family and for his children. And just the way that I've seen him care and work to not only take care of, my mom, but me and Garrett and Bryant, is something that I look up to every single day.
Yeah.
So it's definitely probably my dad who's my biggest hero, and then my brothers as well. And, I look up to Bryant all the time. in the way that he's doing it, getting a little emotional here, but just love them so much, just because of, the way that they impact me, specifically Bryant. I look up to him and a lot of the things that he does, and the leader that he's been for our team out here in Dallas, and the big brother he's been for me. So those are some of the big influences in my life. But biblically speaking, probably one of my favorite characters and persons in the Bible is Joseph. Because I think I love Joseph. It just the story is so
crazy.
It's so impactful and so just a testament to life and hardships and overcoming them. So Joseph is probably my biblical hero. That I love to look at and read through, just because of his story.
It's
being the favorite son and then getting sold into slavery and then, getting imprisoned and just going through these highs and lows all the time in life. And that's just,
all that servants, prison. Yeah,
exactly.
It's wild. His story is my favorite. We, at Upper Room Church, had a service on forgiveness. And that's there's just so many, every story in the Bible has you realize things after you hear from someone, whatever, and how big the forgiveness was of, imagine going through everything you just said for however many years, to then see the people who put you there in the first place, who ruined your life per se, and the first thing out of his one of the first things out of his mouth is "You're good, I forgive you guys." It's whoa, that's real forgiveness. If I can't. If I'm there, I'm I hate you guys. You're going to prison, and it's all God. It really is. And so, I love that. Your family, I can vouch for what you're saying in the sense of, I'm even impacted by your dad from afar. Bryant, my roommate, they're just great people to look up to and admire. They really are. And one of the things that I love about my heart behind Kingdom Partnerships is I'm impacted by you. There's no, I'm better than thou or no more. I'm always, my mindset is always, I could learn from somebody, I could gain knowledge, or I could gain value through the honest, genuine conversations that we're having right now. And you've impacted me in so many ways you don't even know. Yeah. So I love you, brother. That's awesome. Shout out to Brian Kautz and Ron Kautz for the heroes.
Obviously, all my family are just, I love them to death. But those, could go on and on about, everybody that's impacted my life. But definitely my dad has been a big influence on who I am.
Now to dive in, we're already pretty deep, right? Getting a little emotional there, got a little water ducts, the tear ducts are loosening, but a little deeper, and we kind of touched on it as we're conversating, is, the why in life, the day to day, and you don't maybe have to have an answer. You don't have to have it all together, as we were talking about, but what would you say for Travis Kautz is your why, or the purpose in your life that you feel is God-given, or that pushes you to move forward every single day, to wake up out of that bed early and go for an ice bath and get after what you get after? Because it's not easy what you do, door-to-door knocking, traveling halfway across the country. Not only that, but this season you're door-to-door knocking sales, and you're doing full-time online school. It's a lot of hours that you're putting in. And there are days where you're probably waking up going, I don't want to do this. This sucks. Which is normal. So what is your why? What drives you? That's the biggest question that I'm still trying to figure out for myself. I remember listening to a sermon by Charles Metcalf a couple years ago where he touched on your why. In that season of my life, that was a sermon that really impacted my life, because in it he was talking about how he was going through, depression and suicidal thoughts, even thinking about, making that ultimate decision of committing suicide. And I was like, wow, it's crazy. This insane, influential pastor is going through these questions about who he is and why he's even here. And if he's doing that and he's called by God, it's who am I? I need to find my why as well. I'm gonna get destroyed if I don't find my why. So I've been really, really trying to think through that.
And I could say that, it's to create all this change for the glory of God and this and that, but I wouldn't say that's the truth right now in my season.
Yeah.
I want it to get to that point.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, my why, it's something that I probably can't articulate very well, but I would want to say to, find that purpose that I want. That's why I get up. I feel like I have these ambitions that I want to pursue and gain in life. So I want to work towards that and I want to achieve them. But in my life, I feel like fear and anxiety has held me back a lot from being able to take that step to do something that I want to pursue just because, I'm comfortable or, I'm fearful.
Right.
So right now I'm just really trying to gain that persistence to being able to overcome those feelings.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like waking up and working hard, I would say.
So real quick, you said, because the fear part, you said there is a why, right? Like you have ambitions, you said. What are those?
Well, ambitions.
It might be, I'm just trying to get an idea. We'll talk about it in a second.
It's crazy.
What do you have ambition? What are your ambitions or your goals that you're talking about that you feel fear is sometimes holding you back from?
I feel like I have a lot of ambitions and goals. Like,
and
I feel like they change daily.
That's fine.
Like one of them is doing something like this, starting a podcast and talking to people about life and things and other avenues. One of them is, entering into the science field and creating new technology and discovering new methods in order to, cure this or, build that or whatever it might be. And another, goal and passion I have is sports. Like even yesterday we at church, I'm forgetting his name, but he went through his entire life story and was talking about, the emphasis was on, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Yeah. And he was talking about how, he was fearful. He was in the bottom tier percentage of intellect, but yet that didn't stop him from pursuing his goals. Yeah. And it's like, there's some barrier right now that is preventing me from taking that step and breaking the glass to enter into those ambitions and pursuits. But those pursuits include, doing that research in the science field or looking into sports, because sports, like I mentioned, has been a huge passion of mine. Like even yesterday I was thinking like, dang it, bro, if I could just devote my entire life to working hard and getting into the NFL, that would be
that was my dream growing up too for soccer. I was like, I'm going to be a professional soccer player. Yeah. It's any kid's dream for sports, I believe.
Yeah. But those are some of my biggest dreams.
The reason I wanted to ask you that question was because I think a lot of people go through that. I know I can speak for myself, and I went through that, right? Growing up, I'm going to be a soccer player. Played D1 college soccer for like a year and a half, 2 years, got cut. Dream shatters, but still like thinking that. And then I was telling you in the car just now, I was like United Nations, helping the world. Like, I feel like the why can change always. I do want to put emphasis on what you said in the beginning of like, we could say it's the God. That is 100% the why. Yeah. That's why that's the foundation onto whatever else comes after that might be changing, because if you don't have that foundation, you're just going to be like burnt out. Like you said, what am I doing? So to encourage you, I'm like, and to encourage anyone who's listening, is the why can change. Make sure you have a foundation for sure. For us, it's Jesus. But one of the things that I experienced literally in this month, which is why you're witnessing and I'm doing all this and just pulling triggers and going after it, what I believe is my why, my purpose, which is Kingdom Partnerships, is because, and you're doing it already, so I think it'll come. It's just going out and trying it. Yeah. And always seeking God through it. So, I tried soccer. I tried United Nations and non-for-profits and, diplomacy. Yeah. I tried barista. I tried being a real estate agent. I am doing, and I'm sure you have to do it to the best of your ability where you're at right now, which you do, solar and all that stuff as the vice president that I am right now. But I felt my purpose and my why come to life during this last month at WealthCon, at a real estate investing event. And so to encourage, what I'm saying is like, step out what you're doing. You're stepped out and you're like, let me do sales. Is that my why? It's not my why, but it's creating cash. It's might be able to fund my dreams to invest at Liberty, to invest in maybe going and interning at a sports field or something like that. It isn't until you try and you seek God through that you're like, your soul will just feel it. And then it clicked for me there.
Yeah.
So I want to just encourage you in that, like, you're already doing it and just keep doing it. You're young. You're 20 years old, about to turn 21. And you'll find your main why, or what really refreshes you. And it's a game changer after that. And some people aren't lucky enough to find that they're stuck in their 9 to 5. They don't have a north compass, and so.
Yeah. And I think, that's what I was alluding or trying, maybe didn't articulate well, was the fact that I guess I haven't found that thing that's refreshed me yet. Because, what gets me up to work hard and do all this is definitely, rooted in Jesus, and that's where I find my rock for sure.
Right.
But a part of me also, I tend to let my fear of letting other people down, or letting other people, or letting myself down, kind of motivate me even more than that, which is something that I'm still working to avenue around, and don't work out of a place of fear for me to not be called a failure or to let other people down, but to really replace that foundation I think I have for my life right now, and really replace that with Jesus.
Yeah.
Because that's what I want, and I'm working towards that. So I'm just not quite at that point yet, because I still, I feel like my schoolwork and doing all this is definitely partly due to the fear that I have of letting people down and letting myself down. And that's what I'm working towards. It's trying to find that refreshing avenue that I can really feel like God's calling me to purpose, and really cementing Jesus as the rock for my life. So
that's such a good place to be. And that was literally what God kind of like spoke to me, what I felt during WealthCon leading up to it and after, is that fear. Because we've even talked about it like before I even went there, like, oh, well, Juan, what's one of your biggest fears? And I'm like, letting people down, because I'm a people pleaser. I want to help people always. It's my heart to just help people. But what I realized was during that whole thing is like, it's so, in biblically wise, there's fear of God, and then there's fear of man. And fear of man might be we're man, right? So fear of failing others, fear of man. Fear of you failing for yourself and that feeling you get, that's fear of man. Fear of how you look on this podcast, or what you do, or whatever, or starting something and not finishing it. All of that is fear of man. And like, where we should root our healthy fear, because it's a healthy fear, it's one of intimacy with God, is like fear of God, right? And when I was getting that literal revelation, or that of, oh my gosh, I have so much fear, even though I thought I was confident and like didn't have any, and I can do anything. I was like, gosh, God's literally telling me to step out and do this, because we're supposed to be dutiful as Christians and as people in our workplaces. Like, no one likes the worker that's just like showing up and just going through emotions. But if you have a dutiful fear, that healthy fear of like, I need to show up and provide, I need to show up and do good for the people around me, like other people need me, in a healthy place, you'll work out of a freedom versus out of a chain or a slavery mentality of like, I'm going to let someone down. And it's just, you can't live a good life like that. And it's encouraging to see other people make it, right? That have, the crazy stories. One of the recent ones I heard, The Rock and the UFC fighter. Okay. You heard that story or no?
No. Justin,
do you know that guy's name off the top of your head? Yeah, exactly. But can you look up the UFC fighter's name that The Rock blessed? So long story short,
Dwayne The Rock?
Dwayne The Rock Johnson, who's a G, right? Obviously, we could talk about him for days. He's also made it from nothing, sort of. Yeah, definitely made it from nothing. But this guy moved from an African country for his family, for his why, to become champion in the UFC. And is literally sleeping on a couch at the gym he's training in and has membership in, because that's all he could afford. And the gym is cool and let him do that. And he won like a fight or two. What's his name? His name is Themba Garimbo. I'm going to butcher this. Themba Garimbo. Themba Garimbo. Shout out to Themba Garimbo, because it's a really touching story. Like, put whatever he had from a third world country, made it here, and is busting his tail to try and become a UFC champion. And through his story, after winning like a fight or two, Dwayne The Rock Johnson was touched and was like, dude, like, so he like met him, which is one of his obviously idols, and they were talking it out and training together. Then he's like, show me where you live. And he shows him the couch that he's living in. And he's like, yeah, this is my thing. And then he literally has on the wall a why statement. Like, I do this for my family. I do this to honor God. I do this because of that. Like right as he wakes up, it's like right in front of him. And he has a picture of his family. And then at the end, he's like, I do this to become, like the last one is I do this to become UFC champion. He has like so many other whys before his main goal of becoming a champion, which I thought was awesome.
Yeah.
And then they go and Dwayne literally.
He was sending all of his money actually back to his home country and his family. So he was fighting like crazy and sending all the money.
And he had like sending all of his money back to his home country and family to provide.
Yeah.
And living on a couch. So he probably could have afforded logically it makes sense to go, hey, afford a studio. So you're living a little more comfortable so you can work harder. But no, the guy was literally depleting to zero, providing for others so that he can continue to win for them. So super impactful story. And then Dwayne The Rock decides to literally gift him a house.
Yeah.
Gift him gear, gift him everything because of that. And so it's just so beautiful how I'm sure Themba, right? That's that right? You could imagine the fear he had in his life, right? From I'm an immigrant from Colombia. I know that the visa process to get to the U.S. is not a simple dandy thing. You got to pay a lot of money. You got to go to interviews. You got to do so many things. That makes it here legally. And then figuring out all these other things to get into the UFC and all that is probably he must have faced so many no's, so many everything and fears, and his why and his purpose and just everything he does is what drives him every day, even if it's on an uncomfortable couch. And he still has that. What I love is that if you look at the videos before he even gets the house, he has that joy and that God confidence, I'd say, of like, don't you worry, Dwayne, I'm going to be champion. Like, he's like, I'm going to be champion. He's like, I'll hit you up when I'm champion. Like, he's got that confidence. So it's like, it's so cool to see.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And that's what I need to start doing is just emphasizing the why in my life. Because what you alluded to, working kind of with a chain on your back, feeling like if you mess up, you're going to, the fear of letting other people down and messing up. And I feel like that's where I'm kind of working from right now.
Yeah.
So
for sure,
that's why I want to get to the point where I eliminate those fears and truly work for the why, the biggest why in my life, which is, Jesus and the pursuits that I think he has placed on my life. So that's, I
believe you're going to get there, bro. I think you're harder on yourself. I think you're doing better than you think you are from what I see. I know God's proud of you, your family's proud of you, so many people. So it's just a mindset shift and also like a revelation of his love and so many things. But yeah, the fear of God, like Tim Ross and John Bevere have a podcast, Stephanie Gretzinger, so many people that have impacted me in the last couple months. I'll share with you that are life-changing. But yeah, so finding your why, you're going to do it, and doing it together, like sharing it with brothers like myself, your brother, Justin. That is the purpose of Kingdom Partnerships, right? Is bringing the kingdom of heaven here. And, there's another scripture that says, seek first the kingdom of God and everything else will be given to you.
Yeah.
I know another cool one that I have is, let me see here. I'm going to pull up the Bible app. Shout out to the Bible app that Matthew 6:33, I believe. Check me on that. Let's see. Matthew 6 verse 33. Let's see if I'm right. I'm not a pastor. Yes, I was right. This is such an encouraging one for me. And this is in the Passion Translation because I love what it says right here. So above all, constantly seek God's kingdom, right? Kingdom Partnerships is what we're doing. Constantly seek God's kingdom and his righteousness. And then all these this is such a crazy one. And then all these less important things will be given to you abundantly. Abundantly. I love that it says all these less important things.
Yeah.
Right? So if we seek first Jesus, we seek first the kingdom of heaven, as it is on heaven, on earth. May you have your will, Lord. Like it says every money, the science, the sports, the fears, everything else that is less that you were desiring or that God's desiring for your life will be given to you abundantly.
Yeah. We kind of talked on that last night a little bit, kind of with the parable of the talents. And the fact that when you steward what God gives to you well and you entrust that to God, he is prone and desiring to give you more and more and more when you put that trust and devotion into God. And it's not an easy thing. We're all fallible human creatures who have selfish desires.
Right.
So breaking that down and really committing your life to Jesus is not an easy thing to do, but the most rewarding thing to do as well.
The beginning of that scripture says seeking. Yeah, seek first. So it's like you got to continuously do that. So you don't just seek it the first day of the week and then forget about it.
Yeah.
Because then you're just lost in the motions of life. You got to constantly seek that in everything you do. And that should be first. And at least for me, it helps me do everything. It absolutely just changes my day to day. I get to hug and smile on people. I get to do this. I get to go work hard. I get to share value with someone. If someone's angry at me because whatever, a customer or just an angry person throughout the day, and I seek first the kingdom, I'm like, something's going on. We got to help this person. What's the point of me retaliating? And you know me, I can be very retaliating. So
what does your morning routine look like with like rooting yourself in that?
Non-negotiables, prioritizing, seeking first. So first thing I do in the morning to wake up and stay alive and get the blood flowing is an ice bath, as you know. Wake up really early, anywhere from 5 to 6 in the morning. And then right after that, I got to go worship and meditate and read the Bible.
Yeah.
That's it. And I try to put no time limit on it because it could be as quick as 15 minutes or it could be as long as like an hour. Because it's a relationship, it's intimacy, and I truly want to seek the kingdom so that I'm getting a different perspective than the regular day-to-day that people can have. If you have a different perspective to what you do every day, you'll do it differently, right? So if I read an incredible scripture and there's a revelation behind it, I'm like, gosh, I'm living from the scripture today. Today I read the one this morning on God's covenant and promise to Abram. And he's like, hey, don't worry, I got you. I'll protect you and take care of you. And then Abram's first response is like, thanks, but I don't have a child. It's going to be a servant. And back in those times, firstborns were like, it was everything. You wanted a firstborn son. And God literally said, all right, I'm going to make a covenant with you. Go outside, count the stars. You see that? You can't. That's what you're going to have as offspring. He's like, dude, I'm old. What do you mean? And he's like, no, this is my covenant and promise to you. Trust me. And also I'm going to give you all of this land. It's like the biggest promise. And so I literally wrote down to myself and living out of this place going like, oh, so God, if you say something, it's coming true, whether it's tomorrow or 20 years from now. If you make a promise, you don't break it. Your word doesn't come back void. So I could live from that confidence of like, wow, great. I'm here today doing this. If you said, do this podcast, I'm doing it because you're in it and whatever it looks like, you're going to use it for you. I'm just here for the journey. So yeah, man. Awesome. Thanks for asking that question.
No, that's so awesome. I love seeing people jump into it when God has called them to do something and not have fear associated with it. Because that's where I want to get to at my point in life. But when I was thinking about it more and more, I realized another goal and passion that I kind of have for life right now has to do kind of with the political side of what's going on.
You got Jordan Peterson, your guy.
I know.
That's your dude.
I was realizing it. I was like, I touched on those main three, but it's like looking what's going on in our society today, specifically with all the crazy ideology that's spreading across our nation. I also have another passion with regards to that,
President Travis Kautz. We joke around and we say President Travis Kautz. Kautz for president.
Kautz for president, yeah. But honestly, like going back to one of those hero statements and influences in my life have been people like Jordan Peterson. And been people like Tim Ross, people who are, pushing not
the envelope.
Pushing the envelope and trying to break down those walls and encourage people to do the same thing. and understanding that what's going on in our country, in our nation right now isn't good.
Yeah.
You know, it needs to be uprooted and changed. And seeing what's going on with, not only, the economic realm, but also, the gender ideology, this and that, the anti-religious aspect of who we are.
Yeah.
Come on. That's what I also find a passion in is infusing the Lord back into our society and maintaining those morals that were consistent throughout all of America, 40, 50 years ago, that have just been uprooted today.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. And one of the dreams I had, and we'll wrap up on this because it's the big vision. Like, again, what God's really put on my heart for this is, we were talking about that. We're like, Travis Kautz for president. Like, you have that. I could see you in the political sphere also being influential. And I thought that for myself too, but I was like, nah. What I see is, because, we're not going to dive into the deep rabbit hole about this because we're going to wrap up here soon, but money influences so much.
Yeah.
Right. We know about lobbying, like on all spectrums of politics, not a right or a left thing. It's across the board. You have the pharmaceutical, the meat industry, you have the political left or right, the Democrats, Republicans, like it's all run by some sort of money. You have shell companies, gas companies, we work for a solar company. Like, there's just so much money in this world. And a vision and a dream is partnering with people who I know that I can back and support, that have those core values that match, and not being pushed aside because they don't have enough money to get there, to raise funds for a campaign, to raise funds for whatever, what have you, hire employees and this and the third and all that. Like, great. Travis Kautz needs $100 million to run his campaign, so that it looks, he's actually out on the TV screens and all that stuff. Then Kingdom Partnerships LLC will support that.
Yeah.
Along with all these other, because there's like-minded people like ourselves out there who run businesses, CEOs and all that stuff, can support that behind the scenes, so that you can go out confidently and not be corrupted. Because the thing is, whoever lends you that money or lobbies you is like, don't forget about me. But if it's coming out of a place where we were just talking about, where it's no fear and you're just giving value, you're like, here, man, I support you. I love you. I believe in you. I'm praying for you. I believe God has what's best for you, and you're going to crush this. And we're here for you as accountability too.
Yeah.
Boom. And now you have that freedom to go, I can do this. So another big vision dreams, and Kingdom Partnerships is what it's all about. So yeah. First episode in the books. Let's go. Travis Kautz. Any goodbye words for anybody out there before we get out of here?
No, I just, I love getting the opportunity to do something like this, because this has always been so cool to me. Like, I listen to podcasts so much, and I'm like, it'd be so sick to do one of these sometimes.
It's so fun.
I appreciate you for the opportunity, being your first guest. That's a huge honor.
Yeah.
When this undoubtedly explodes, they're gonna look back and say, who's Travis Kautz?
Travis Kautz. And then we'll have you back on for episode 100 when you're crushing it or whatever you're doing. You got your why and purpose.
But yeah, so that's kind of me. I appreciate everything that you do for me. I know leaving here literally in 2 days is crazy. It's kind of surreal, but it's been a crazy season. I loved it, and looking forward to the next season of life for
Let's
sure.
Go.
Yeah.
Love you, bro. Praying for your future endeavors. We're here for you, whatever. Kingdom Partnerships, myself. And thanks, guys, for tuning in. We love you. Keep joining, whatever. We're here for you. Peace.